Hello there, Inspired Tennotes. Perhaps you're a new player who's wondering, what should I spend my precious Endo on? Or maybe you're a long-time player like myself who's simply wondering if there's any mods they've missed. Well, let's find out why not. Also, me from the future kind of forgot to mention that this entire list, this document, will be down in the description below, so you can go ahead and take a look at it. I didn't just expect you to remember all this. We're starting off strong with Warframes. We have Intensify for ability strength, Continuity or Continuity Prime for duration, Streamline for efficiency, Reach for range, and Flow for maximum energy or Primed Flow. Next up we have the corrupted mods. These are Blind Rage, Transient Fortitude, Overextended, Bleeding Expertise, and Narrow-Minded. All of these gives you one large amount of one of the stats we talked about before, but you have to trade off one of the others. Then we have some of the very important defensive mods. Here we have Adaptation and Rolling Guard, which can both be gotten from the arbitration store or it can be bought from other players. Then we have Vitality, Steel Fiber, which is for increased health and armor, Vigor or Vigor Prime, which gives you both health and shield. This is good for Warframes that rely on true damage reduction. And finally, and I wasn't sure if I should add this, but I did it anyways, we have Quick Thinking, which drains energy before health. Then here we have Hunter Adrenaline, which is just a great mod, and any frame that expects to take any amount of damage should use this. Then we have some utility mods, and here I have Calm and Frenzy, which is an augment mod, and this is the only augment mod which makes the list. I think that it's the best unless you have a very specific setup for leveling up Warframes. So you will essentially be using this on all of your new Warframes if you decide to use Equinox's ability to put enemies to sleep. Natural Talent for faster ability cast, and this is a login reward, so this is only if you have access to it, but Prime Sure-Footed solves all of your CC problems more or less. And finally, we have some nice to have, but not necessarily need to have. We have Equilibrium, which allows you to pick up health orbs as energy orbs and energy orbs as health orbs. We have Vigorous Swap, which allows you to switch your weapons with increased speed and have increased damage for 3 seconds afterwards. Combat Discipline, which deals damage to you whenever you kill an enemy, but heals your teammates instead. This can trigger Arcane Avenger, by the way. Then we have Health Conversion. Whenever you pick up a health orb, then you will be given some amount of armor. These Equilibrium, Combat Discipline, and Health Conversion pretty much synergize with one another. Then we have Augur Message for an Augur Reach for some additional base stats. And finally we have Corrosive Projection to undo some of the armor, which especially Grineer have. This is also an aura mod, by the way, which we're now moving into. So we have the Mecha set, which is all of the Mecha mods. I've already showcased this in my Nazarok build, if you want to go ahead and take a look at that. Then we have Power Donation, which takes some of your ability strength and gives it to your team. Brief Respite, which gives you shield whenever you cast an ability. And Steel Charge, which first off gives you more mod capacity than these other aura mods. And also it gives you melee damage, which is very valuable. Moving on, we have the primaries. First up, we have all of the galvanized mods, which again can be gotten from the arbitration store or traded from other players. The only galvanized mod that I would not consider using of the primaries is acceleration, as it's more build specific and not as universally utilized. Point Blank for base damage, Ravage and for Ravage for critical. And if you can, then get the primed version. It's quite a bit stronger. Then we have the damage mods, such as Serration, but they're not that important. Since we have the new primary arcanes and so on and so forth, these actually fall to the wayside a little bit. I need to explain why that is and dedicate an entire video to that. We don't have time for that. Then we have a single augment mod here because I just think it's so good and it's quite easy to get. You can get it from the Intrati family on Deimos. It's the Hata Satya, which gives the Soma Prime more critical chance the longer it shoots. Now we have the faction mods such as Bane of Grenea, Bane of Corpus, and so on and so forth. And the reason why you want these and their primed versions is because Slash can double dip. Again, this needs to be its own video with the whole way that damage works, but just know that these are actually very good to get. Even the normal versions, they're very common, but if you don't have it yet, you might want to consider buying one if you're doing a bleed build. Then we have critical delay and critical declaration. These are mods that gives you increased critical chance, but you lose some firepower. Then we have Shred for some punch through and fire rate. Then we have all of the elemental mods, and these include Charge Shell, Chilling Grasp, which has a prime version, Contagious Spread, Cryo Rounds, Incendiary Code, Infested Clip, and Hellfire. Then we have Sweeping Serration, and I don't normally recommend that you use these like base damage type kind of mods, but in some cases using Sweeping Serration, and make sure you know what you're doing, it can make Serration your main damage type by buffing its damage, which means that you'll get more slash procs, which obviously is the best kind of proc you can get off the base types. We have Hunter Munition. When you crit, you have a chance to slash. Again, slash is very powerful. And then we have all of the damage and status hybrids. We have Blaze, Frigid Blast, Scattering Inferno, Toxin Barrage, Malignant Force, Shell Shock, Rhyme Rounds, and Termite Rounds. Then finally we have some honorable mentions or nice to haves, and this is Combustion Beam, which will, when you kill an enemy, you will deal 600 damage to all enemies around it. This is good for low tier clear on weapons that otherwise are more solo target oriented. Moving on to secondaries, we have the critical mods, which is Pistol Prime Gambit, and this has a prime version. Target Cracker, which is the critical damage, also has a prime version, and I would recommend that you get these early on, as critical is extra important on secondaries. It's always important, but it's extra important on secondaries. Hornet Strike is your basic damage mod. Again, not as important now that we have the primary and secondary arcanes, but you might want to get your hands on it and at least get it up to level 5 until you can replace it with something better, such as primary and secondary arcanes. Are you going to kill anything with your weapon? Then you should use Galvanized Diffusion and Galvanized Shot. They're just that good. We have Creeping Bullseye, again more critical but less fire rate. Gunslinger, which is just pure fire rate. Fire rate is very important on pistols. Most builds have a better option, but especially early on it's very important to get this mod, and it's very cheap, so why not get it? We have the elemental mods, Deep Freeze, Pathogen Rounds, Heated Charge, and Convulsion. Then we have the damage and status mods, which is Frostbite, Pistol, Pestilence, Scourge, and Jolt. Moving on to the melee mods, we have Blood Rush, which gives you more critical chance for like the more combo counter you have. We have Healing Returns, which heals you based on how many status effects are affecting the target. We have the Smite mods, which is the faction specific damage mod. Again, Slash can double dip, very powerful. Make sure you get them. True Steel for critical chance, and this has an Umbra version, which you will just get from playing the game, so don't worry about it too much, but try and level it up when possible. Critical chance is very important. We have Organ Shatter for more critical damage. Berserker Fury for more attack speed when you crit. You have Condition Overload, which deals more damage depending upon how many status effects are affecting the target. Body Count, which gives you more combo duration. There are many better alternatives to this, but it's so cheap and it's really good early on, so make sure you pick it up. We have Pressure Point, kind of. This is just your base damage mod. This does have a prime, but the upgrade is very small, so maybe if you have nothing else to spend your resources on, but it's actually not that important. We have the elemental mods, Fever Strike, Molten Impact, Northern Wind, and Shocking Touch. Then we have Weeping Wounds, which gives you more status chance the more combo counter you have. Then finally we have the damage and status mods. This is Ocasious Frost, Virulent Scourge, Volcanic Strike and Volcanic Edge. Don't worry, you will be able to see the names in the document itself. And finally we have Reeds for Rains, and this has a Prime version. The upgrade here is substantial, so you might want to consider getting the Prime when it's cheap. Then we have some honorable mentions, and these are mainly for throwable weapons. We have Whirlwind, Power Throw, Spoiled Strike. This is not specific for throwables, but only a handful of builds use this. We have Corrupted Charge and Volatile Quick Return. Moving on now to Necromegs. The must-have mods here are Necromeg Repair, which heals you when you drop below a certain amount of health. This has a cooldown, but obviously it can be maintained infinitely with if you're careful enough about it. Then we have Necromeg Vitality for health, Necromeg Streamline for efficiency, Necromeg Steel Fiber for armor, Necromeg Repair again apparently, go away. Then we have Necromeg Raids, and whenever you take damage you gain energy. This is the infinite combo I was talking about. Repair plus Raids, you take damage, you get energy, and then you heal back up. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. This allows you to keep yourself alive with your second ability. On the Voidrick, which is the only Necromeg you should ever use anyways. We have Necromeg Stretch for Reeds, for Rains I mean. We have Necromeg Flow for energy, and Necromeg Intensify for more power. Then we have three nice to have mods. We have Necromeg Thruster plus Necromeg Friction, so you can sprint without constantly running out of energy. Not that you really want to move around over large distances in your Necromeg anyways, but you know. And then we have Necromeg Augur, which transforms some amount of energy into shield. It's not very good, but I mean, if you want something to put on your Necromeg, I guess it's one of the better options. Okay, so then we have the Railjack. The main must-have mods here is Cruising Speed, which gives you a substantial boost once there are no enemies around. This allows you to very quickly move to the objective once you've dispatched of the enemies, or if you need to loot afterwards, this is very useful. Ironclad Matrix gives you health, armor, and shield, and it stacks with everyone. So just bring this, it will make you basically immortal if everyone brings it. Then we have Forward Artillery, which is just more damage, actually double the damage of the Forward Artillery, which allows your gunner to one-hit the cruise ships at a distance without having to shoot at the engines. Then we have Artillery Cheap Shot, which gives you a 50% chance to not use up any armor when using the Forward Artillery. This is really good to get started early on when you have a very low ammo count until you crafted a couple of dome charges. Warhead, which allows the Ordnance to one-shot the shield on the cruise ships in the Vale. And we have Ordnance Velocity, because ain't nobody got time to wait for that. Then, for our offensive mods, I guess, we have Seeker Volley, which that's basically going to be your main damage tool with the Railjack now that Tether has been nerfed. Your utility will be Battle Forts, which allows you to reset the cooldowns in the forts. And for mob, this allows you to recall all of your allies. This is absolutely necessary, as if no one has this, some guy can just stay outside the ship forever and prevent you from completing the mission. So you must get this just in case someone's trolling. So there's some nice to have mods here as well. We got Void Cloak, which allows the ship to go invisible for a good number of seconds, but it takes away some of the movement speed. Especially if you don't have a fully maxed out Railjack, it can be quite nice to have this. Tether to group up enemies, and if you kill them close enough to one another, then you can kill all of them at once. This is very energy efficient, so if you don't want to use energy discs, this is a good option. You have Blackout Pulse. This stuns the cruise ships, so you really only want to use this to help your gunner hit the cruise ship engines if they don't have enough damage on their forward artillery. Finally, we have a little bit of a quality of life mod, and it's Quick Lock, which allows the ordnance to lock on faster. Right, and that is all of them. After this video, I will take 1 day break from uploading because I want to make sure that I do the next video after this one justice. It's something that I'm I don't want to say that I'm an expert, but it's something that I know quite well, and it's something that you guys will really benefit from knowing about properly. So I want to make it as a kind of a ultimate guide kind of style of video. So I look forward to seeing you there, and meanwhile, if this helped you, why not subscribe?